I'm Yerin. All of us have a favorite camouflage pattern, I am sure. However, mine is one of the more obscure choices. My camouflage drug is the VSR 93. Few of you might notice this camouflage being background on my YouTube channel for years now. Developed by the USSR since 1980s, entering an 8-year test period later. First design pattern was called the Barvikha, which in my language would translate into colorful loosely, and was even used by the armed forces of Ukraine on a small scale, mostly on gear or special purpose uniforms. Later models were referred to as Dubok, which means little oak tree, or simply VSR, Вооруженные силы России, Armed Forces of Russia. This is because it was the first camouflage Russian army adopted after the dissolution of USSR, trying to distinguish themselves from other former USS parts. Now the fun part. As with a lot of Russian camouflages, this camo has had many variants. Every region of Russia basically produced their own variant, every part of the armed forces making their own, etc. On old Soviet machines, so every factory had different shade of VSR produced. Fun times to be uniformed. The thing is, as the Russians adopted this camouflage to larger scale by 1994, in 1998 they already said nah and moved to VSR 98, which they went and produced for good 16 plus years. So you can imagine, this VSR 93 thing is a pretty rare compared to other Soviet or Russian designs. Now, why do the 80s Soviet uniforms hold color well? The VSR 98 does too, but the VSR 93 print are utter dog shit and are usually seen with extremely worn out colors. From the sources I got my hands on, which include a CIA document from the 1950s, USSR had their fabric dyes made primarily in two places: Lithuania and communist Czechoslovakia. Lithuania had a very decent fabric industry even before centralization. The Soviet Union knew this and pumped a lot of resources to make it into its fabric produce plant after Second World War. This is all info confirmed by the CIA document, by the way. The point is, Lithuania left USSR in 1990, and the trade with dyes and fabric between Russia and Lithuania stopped. Czechoslovakia was an interesting case. Few years after the capitulation of Nazi Germany, almost all fabric and fabric dye factories were moved into socialist Czechoslovakia. Not surprising why a lot of Czechoslovak camouflage equipment from the 50s still uses German patterns and materials. The factories were moved in country as part of war reparations. By doing so, Czechoslovakia, a member of Warsaw Pact, became Soviet Union's favorite fabric dye production plant. But Czechoslovakia stopped being Soviet Union's slave in 1989 and its trade of fabric dye with Soviet Union was halted. And now to my collection. This uniform, which I wear in the video right now, was made in 1993 and it's the top of my uniforms collection. Mint condition, beautiful, one of the first variants. I bought this set this year in 2024. However, I had an identical one last year as well. Sadly, my mother has put that one into the washing machine, which ruins the uniform completely. Yes, I forgive her. She could not have any idea how shit the print was, which is a thing with early Russian uniforms. But hey, the whole set was roughly 2000 crowns, which is translated about $80 or euros. This year I paid 2200 crowns, which is about $86 or euros for the whole set. My good Uzbek friend told me the price is higher because it's size 54-4, which is less common to come by. But hey, I wanted more roomy piece to accommodate sweater under it. Plus I got a little fatter. It's the pre-First Chechen War uniform print, which has seen production I think only in the years 91 to 93. Next on the list are these pants. They are old and were used as work pants by our work technician. They definitely have seen better days, but I cannot be angry at the technician. He gave me those for free. But back to the pants. He looted those pants for himself in about 1989 to 1990 from a Soviet hangar, right when the Soviet army was fucking off back to the Soviet Union. As the Soviets loved to trade their military goods with locals for cigarettes and alcohol, a little amount of early Barvikha stuff made it into the Czechoslovak public. Keep in mind, this was the first year of Barvikha being experimentally issued to VDV. These pants are remains of what I assume was a camouflage VDV suit. Next, I want to talk about the reproduction stuff. I want to give a huge shout out to a Polish shop, FRONTOWIEC. No, this video is not sponsored by them and they got no idea I'm talking about them right now. They make new produced clothing and gear made out of Belarusian fabrics using the original cuts. I own these VKBO pants made by them along with these Yenot ones. I love both of them. Unlike the original VSR 93, these things can be washed in a washing machine without any problem. And they also sell the fabric itself, which will become relevant soon. For people like me who love old obscure Russian camouflages, this shop is heaven. I highly recommend looking there, as I use clothes made by them very happily. And I even met them in Czechia a few times on military flea markets. All employees are 10 out of 10 customer support. So back to the topic of fabric. Most wild item in VSR 93 I own is this. This is probably the only one of its kind, made from fabric I got from FRONTOWIEC by a guy who goes by name Yura. Yura does not make military hats in camouflages, he makes gentleman hats, which my coworker calls Banditka. This all was possible only because my coworker is his good friend, and because Yura was kind enough to agree on this project. Jokingly, my other co-workers gave this hat a name, the Wolf of Donbas Street or the Soviet Blinders. I got no idea why I felt the need to have the Baker Boy hat in VSR 93, a hat that was mostly popular in the early 20th century England, but I got it now and you guys know I love handmade items. So, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the more educational format of the video. For a change, after all, you guys voted on it. I will hopefully see you next time, but for now... Get out of here, stop!